lies. I feel like I've been here before, wandering the shadows of my soul. I've not been in control. You come and I've not been in control. You come and me down. Control. You come and I've not been in control. You come and me down. Distorted fields in a dying age, looking at the eagle with its eyes on prey, hands on that gold without notion of the coming flood. Mortality reveals itself, diving into a ring of blood. You come and I've not been in control. You come and me down. Control. You come and I've not been in control. You come and me down. Control.
The best variety of music on your favorite radio station. All the latest news and breaking headlines, live from your local radio station. This is On the Hour News.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Emmachev Radio.
Big news day today, lots to unpack.
Where should we even begin? Well, how about with a warm welcome home? South African Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool, who was declared persona non grata by the U.S., got a hero's welcome back in Cape Town.
Huge crowds, singing and cheering, police escort, and the whole 9 yards.
Quite the turnaround from being expelled.
Yeah, talk about a dramatic shift.
Meanwhile, over in Sudan, the army has retaken the presidential palace in Khartoum.
Big symbolic victory against the rapid support forces in that ongoing civil war.
Seen some videos of soldiers inside the damaged building? Pretty intense stuff.
Definitely a turning point, potentially.
All right, switching gears to sports. Thomas Tuchel, England's head coach, says he's not rotating his squad to keep club managers happy.
He's playing his best players, even if it risks tiring them out before they return to their clubs.
Prioritizing raising standards for the national team, it seems.
Makes sense, from his perspective.
He wants to win, not appease club bosses.
Finally, some tech. No, wait, there's something about revenge porn? Yeah, apparently prosecutors are being told to do more to get those explicit images deleted from the devices of the perpetrators.
Seems like there's been a systemic failure to request or issue deletion orders, which is pretty disturbing.
Absolutely.
Victims deserve to have that content removed.
Good to see some action being taken on that front.
Anything else, or is that the roundup for today? I think that covers the major headlines.
Clever Maria. There was once a merchant who lived close to the royal palace and had 3 daughters. They were all pretty, but Maria, the youngest, was the prettiest of the 3. One day, the king sent for the merchant, who was a widower, to give him directions about a journey he wished the good man to take. The merchant would rather not have gone, as he did not like leaving his daughters at home, but he could not refuse to obey the king's commands, and with a heavy heart he returned home to say farewell to them. Before he left, he took 3 pots of basil and gave one to each girl, saying, "I am going a journey, but I leave these pots. You must let nobody into the house. When I come back, they will tell me what has happened." "Nothing will have happened," said the girls. The father went away, and the following day the king, accompanied by 2 friends, paid a visit to the 3 girls who were sitting at supper. When they saw who was there, Maria said, "Let us go and get a bottle of wine from the cellar. I will carry the key. My eldest sister can take the light, while the other brings the bottle." But the king replied, "Oh, do not trouble, we are not thirsty." "Very well, we will not go," answered the 2 elder girls, but Maria merely said, "I shall go anyhow." She left the room and went to the hall, where she put out the light, and putting down the key and the bottle, ran to the house of a neighbor and knocked at the door. "Who is there so late?" asked an old woman, who thrusting her head out of the window. "Oh, let me in," answered Maria. "I have quarreled with my eldest sister, and as I do not want to fight any more, I have come to beg you to allow me to sleep with you." So the old woman opened the door, and Maria slept in her house. The king was very angry at her for playing truant, but when she returned home the next day, she found the plants of her sisters withered away, because they had disobeyed their father. Now, the window in the room of the eldest overlooked the gardens of the king, and when she saw how fine and ripe the medlars were on the tree, she longed to eat some, and begged Maria to scramble down by a rope and pick her a few, and she would draw her up again. Maria, who was good-natured, swung herself into the garden by the rope, and got the medlars, and was just making the rope fast under her arm so as to be hauled up, when her sister cried, "Oh, there are such delicious lemons a little farther on. You might bring me 1 or 2. Maria turned round to pluck them, and found herself face to face with the gardener, who caught hold of her, exclaiming, "What are you doing here, you little thief?" "Don't call me names," she said, "or you will get the worst of it. giving him as she spoke such a violent push that he fell panting into the lemon bushes. Then she seized the cord and clambered up to the window. The next day the second sister had a fancy for bananas, and begged so hard that, though Maria had declared she would never do such a thing again, at last she consented and went down the rope into the king's garden. This time she met the king, who said to her, "Ah, here you are again, cunning one. Now you shall pay for your misdeeds." And he began to cross-question her about what she had done. Maria denied nothing, and when she had finished, the king said again, "Follow me to the house, and there you shall pay the penalty." And as he spoke, he started for the house, looking back from time to time to make sure that Maria had not run away. All of a sudden, when he glanced round, he found she had vanished completely without leaving a trace of where she had gone. Search was made all through the town, and there was not a hole or corner which was not ransacked, but there was no sign of her anywhere. This so enraged the king that he became quite ill, and for many months his life was despaired of. Meanwhile, the two elder sisters had married the two friends of the king, and were the mothers of little daughters. Now one day Maria stole secretly to the house where her eldest sister lived, and snatching up the children, put them into a beautiful basket she had with her, covered with flowers inside and out, so that no one would ever guess it held two babies. Then she dressed herself as a boy, and placing the basket on her head, she walked slowly past the palace, crying as she went, "Who will carry these flowers to the king who lies sick of love?" And the king in his bed heard what she said, and ordered one of his attendants to go out and buy the basket. It was brought to his bedside, and as he raised the lid, cries were heard, and peeping in he saw two little children. He was furious at this new trick which he felt had been played on him by Maria, and was still looking at them, wondering how he should pay her out, when he was told that the merchant, Maria's father, had finished the business on which he had been sent, and returned home. Then the king remembered how Maria had refused to receive his visit, and how she had stolen his fruit, and he determined to be revenged on her. So he sent a message by one of his pages that the merchant was to come to see him the next day, and bring with him a coat made of stone, or else he would be punished. Now the poor man had been very sad since he got home the evening before, for though his daughters had promised that nothing should happen while he was away, he had found the two elder ones married without asking his leave, and now there was this fresh misfortune, for how was he to make a coat of stone? He wrung his hands and declared that the king would be the ruin of him, when Maria suddenly entered. "Do not grieve about the coat of stone, dear father, but take this bit of chalk and go to the palace and say you have come to measure the king." The old man did not see the use of this, but Maria had so often helped him before that he had confidence in her, so he put the chalk in his pocket and went to the palace. "That is no good," said the king, when the merchant had told him what he had come for. "Well, I can't make the coat you want," replied he. "Then, if you would save your head, hand over to me your daughter Maria." The merchant did not reply, but went sorrowfully back to his house, where Maria sat waiting for him. "Oh, my dear child, why was I born? The king says that instead of the coat, I must deliver you up to him. Do not be unhappy, dear father, but get a doll made exactly like me, with a string attached to its head which I can pull for yes and no." So the old man went out at once to see about it. The king remained patiently in his palace, feeling sure that this time Maria could not escape him, and he said to his pages, "If a gentleman should come here with his daughter, and ask to be allowed to speak with me, put the young lady in my room, and see she does not leave it." When the door was shut on Maria, who had concealed the doll under her cloak, she hid herself under the couch, keeping fast hold of the string which was fastened to its head. "Signora Maria, I hope you are well," said the king when he entered the room. The doll nodded. "Now we will reckon up accounts," continued he, and he began at the beginning, and ended up with the flower basket, and at each fresh misdeed Maria pulled the string so that the doll's head nodded assent. "Whoso mocks at me merits death," declared the king when he had ended, and drawing his sword, cut off the doll's head. It fell towards him, and as he felt the touch of a kiss, he exclaimed, Ah, Maria, Maria, so sweet in death, so hard to me in life. The man who could kill you deserves to die, and he was about to turn his sword on himself when the true Maria sprung out from under the bed and flung herself into his arms, and the next day they were married and lived happily for many years. The end. Read by Rick Kishner for Lit2Go on the web at fcit.usf.edu.
Hear the beat drop, waves and the sea. Hey, vibes are free. Emmachev radio, we're here to play. Roots rock reggae every single day. Listen to the sound that takes you away to the land of sun where the palm trees sway. Positive vibes, they bloom like the May.
You are listening to Emmachev Radio.
Good morning, sunshine. You're tuned in to Emmachev Radio, the station that's always got your back, your playlist, and your coffee break covered. Whether you're cruising down the highway or chilling at home, we're here to make your day brighter. Shout out to all our amazing listeners. You're the reason we keep the beats fresh and the vibes alive. Now buckle up, because we've got a joke coming your way that's longer than a Monday, but funnier than a Friday. Let's do this. So, there's this guy named Dave, right? Dave was known in his small town for two things: being the most forgetful person alive and having the most impressive garden anyone had ever seen. His tomatoes were the size of bowling balls. His sunflowers could double as umbrellas. And his roses smelled like heaven itself. One day, Dave's neighbor, Bob, knocks on his door and says, "Dave, your garden is incredible. How do you do it?" Dave, scratching his head, replies, "Well, Bob, it's simple. Every morning I wake up, go outside, and yell at my plants." Bob, confused, says, "You yell at them? How does that help?" Dave shrugs. "I don't know, but it works. I stand there and scream, 'You're growing too slow. You're not even trying. Why can't you be more like the tomatoes?'" Bob, now even more confused, decides to give it a try. He goes home, stands in his own garden, and starts yelling at his plants, "Grow faster! You're embarrassing me! Why can't you be more like Dave's plants?" A week goes by, and Bob's garden looks worse than ever. His plants are wilting, his flowers are drooping, and his tomatoes are the size of marbles. Frustrated, Bob storms over to Dave's house and says, "Dave, I did what you said. I yelled at my plants every day and now they're worse than before. What's your secret?" Dave looks at Bob, confused, and says, "Wait, you yelled at your plants?" "Oh no, Bob, I wasn't yelling at my plants. I was yelling at my neighbor's plants. I figured if I made them feel bad, they'd stop stealing my sunlight." And there you have it, folks. A joke so long, it might just outlast your commute. Thanks for sticking with us here on Emmachev Radio, where the laughs are endless and the music is always on point. Don't touch that dial, because we've got more tunes, more fun, and more stories coming your way. You're the heart of this station, and we couldn't do it without you. Keep listening, keep smiling, and remember, life's too short not to laugh at the little things. This is Emmachev Radio, signing off for now, but we'll be right back.
There was a promise made, dreamers believed, but we didn't know what we were headed towards. Good fights were won, some felt left behind, and the demagogue drafted them for, and it was not their fault. They too believed hopes and promises that became this. Lies are commonplace, facts are misconstrued, blame is thrown around, living in this. Dissent is demonized, protest emphasized, outrage denied, living in this. On the verge of collapse, living in this. And we're all afraid of everyone we meet. Are you with us or them, living in this? Nothing to lose and think it's all rigged, and you're out of hope, you open up to so many people hurt, so many need real change, enough to burn it down, force us into.
Is broken, and she tries to be cool, staying alive. My September style is undeveloped, and I think I'd become an alien in a secret path forgotten. I collect leaves of green, leaves of yellow on a bank of forgotten river. The city of broken faces. Two hearts are starting the fire. They're asking questions, finding the answers.
That was September's Tale by Pasha Black. Before that, we enjoyed Democracy by Kara Square. Up next is Empty Airport, Empty Plane by Epoxode Disc. It's 6:24 Greenwich Mean Time on March 24, 2025. Did you know that the first song ever played on the radio was in 1906? A Canadian inventor, Reginald Fessenden, played "Oh Holy Night" on Christmas Eve, shocking radio operators who were used to only hearing Morse code. And speaking of firsts, the first commercial radio station, KDKA in Pittsburgh, began broadcasting in 1920.
I love to listen while I work.
Listen to it at work, all day.
I love it. It's my kind of music.
I get the best mix of my favorite music.
All on one radio station.
You guys play the variety I want to hear.
I love the variety.
You're the best. You guys are great.
I get the best mix of my favorite music.
We love it.
It's a great station. It is the best station.
They have a variety of music.
It's a wide variety.
You are listening to Emmachev Radio.
Are you ready to unlock the full potential of transportation and logistics in your business? In today's fast-paced world, transportation and logistics are the backbone of any successful business. But managing a fleet of vehicles can be complex and challenging. That's where Rockeye comes in. Introducing Rockeye's comprehensive transport management solution. Rockeye's innovative platform simplifies every aspect of your operations, from order processing and route optimization to fleet maintenance and expense management. Rockeye is more than just software. It's a partner in your success. Don't let transportation challenges hold you back. Embrace the future of logistics with Rockeye. Rockeye. Driving success, leaving the rest. For more information, send an email to rockeye@emmachev.com.
The world is gonna take its toll on you and all of your stuff. Just when you think you're getting over, time and circumstance will call your bluff and leave you out there on the edge of the world, feeling the zen. Sound of one hand clapping, no way out, and what then? Rich man got it easy, and a poor man's got to be tough. To fight for love and glory never seemed to be enough. Good things fade too easy. Shadows never rest. Start sorting out what fades away. Things that stand the test. Time, oh time, flow on like a river. Carry me just like a leaf to the sea. Oh, deliver me. The days come down to a pile of stories scattered on the ground. When you're dancing on the high wire, you don't dare to look down. Running around on the spinning wheel, with your cards close to your chest. Sorting out what fades away, things that stand the test. Time, oh time, flow on like a river. Carry me just like a leaf to the sea. Oh, deliver me. The rich man's got it easy, and the poor man's got to be tough. The fight for love and glory never seems to be enough. Good
That was JoJo Smith with Peace Won't You Come On It. It's 5:50 Greenwich Mean Time here on Emmachev Radio on this fine Monday, March 24th, 2025. Before JoJo Smith, we heard a beautiful piece, Daddy's Words. Speaking of words, did you know that the longest word in the English language, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, is pneumono-ultramicroscopics silicovolcanoconiosis? It's a lung disease caused by inhaling very fine silica dust found in volcanoes. Quite a mouthful, isn't it? Coming up next, we have another great track lined up for you, so stay tuned.
Non c'è una strada, mi riporti a casa, l'orizzonte non è un limite, la mia vita era andata. Ho un vestito di carta, ho un vestito di carta, sulla testa un cappello a forma di barca. Fino in fondo, nascondendosi negli angoli del mondo. Dio mio, mi hai lasciato qui, disteso tra le spine. Fino in fondo, elemosino pietà dal mondo. Dio mio, mi hai lasciato qui. Mi rincorrono le mosche, gioco con i cani randagi, litigando per gli avanzi di polli umani. Ho un vestito di carta, ho un vestito di carta, sulla testa un cappello a forma di barca. Fino in fondo, nascondendosi negli angoli del mondo. Dio mio, mi hai lasciato qui, disteso tra le spine. Fino in fondo, elemosino pietà dal mondo. Dio mio, mi hai lasciato qui. Nascondendosi negli angoli del mondo. Dio mio, mi hai lasciato qui, disteso tra le spine. Fino in fondo, elemosino pietà dal mondo. Dio mio, mi hai lasciato qui. Ho un vestito di carta, ho un cappello a forma di barca, dormo sotto la luna, tutto questo mi basta.
The biggest hits, the best DJs on your favorite radio station.